You know, we're surrounded by it every single day, but we almost never think about what goes into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the craft of upholstery. We're going to build a piece of furniture right from the inside out, turning a simple wooden frame into something you'd love to have in your living room. Have you ever just sunk into your favorite sofa or armchair and thought, what is actually in here? I mean, what's the magic combination of stuff that makes it so comfortable but also strong enough to last for years? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll get on the same page about what upholstery even is. Then we're going to get our hands dirty, metaphorically, and build a piece from the ground up, starting with a strong foundation, creating the comfy layers, putting on the final fabric, and then we'll wrap it all up. All right, let's start at square one. What do we actually mean when we talk about upholstery? It's more than just fabric, that's for sure. Okay, so in a nutshell, upholstery is the entire process of taking a bare furniture frame, think wood, maybe some metal, and adding all the good stuff: the padding, the springs, the stuffing, and finally the fabric. It's the art that turns a hard structure into something you actually want to sit on. And just so you know we're getting this right, we are basing this whole explainer on this professional guide right here. This is our blueprint, laying out all the basic operations and standards of the craft, step by step. Now, here's what's so cool about this. It's not just about slapping some foam on a frame. There are actual guidelines and standards that professionals follow, and it all boils down to making sure every single piece hits three key targets. It has to be comfortable, it has to be strong, and it has to look neat. Keep those three things in mind because we're going to see them pop up again and again. So let's start building. The first and maybe most important stage is creating a solid foundation. You can't have a great chair without a great base to build on. Building this foundation really comes down to three main steps: getting the frame ready, attaching this stuff called webbing for support, and then covering it all with a layer of burlap. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the frame. It's the skeleton of the entire piece. It's usually a solid wooden structure that has to be sturdy enough to handle everything we're about to add to it, plus, people actually sitting on it. And this is why it's so non-negotiable. Think about it. If your frame is wobbly, nothing else matters. The entire structure, all the cushions, all the fabric, it all relies on that frame being rock solid. Okay, with the frame set, it's time for webbing. These are super strong fabric straps. An upholsterer will weave them in a crisscross pattern and stretch them incredibly tight across the open parts of the frame, like the seat. They get tacked down to create this kind of resilient, flexible platform. And the keyword there is tight. If the webbing is loose, you get that dreaded, saggy sofa syndrome. But when it's stretched perfectly, it creates the ideal base that contributes to both strength and long-term comfort. The final step for our foundation is a layer of burlap. Yep, just like the stuff they make potato sacks out of. It's stretched right over the webbing. It acts as this crucial barrier that stops the softer stuffing materials from falling through the cracks in the webbing. It just creates a nice, solid surface for the next stage. Okay, our foundation is solid as a rock. Now we get to the fun part, adding all the layers that actually make the furniture soft and give it that unique shape. This part also has three key steps. First, we protect the sharp edges. Then we apply the main stuffing. And finally, we add a top layer of padding to smooth everything out. Now here's a detail that a true pro never skips. Before you add the main stuffing, you have to roll the edges. That just means covering any sharp wooden parts of the frame with a bit of padding. Why? Well, it stops you from feeling those hard edges, and it protects the final fabric from getting worn out and torn over time. Next up, the heart of comfort, the stuffing itself. This is where you add materials like foam or maybe cotton or other fibers to build up the bulk of the cushion. The type of stuffing and how much you use is what really defines the feel of the piece. Is it going to be firm and supportive or soft and squishy? And to top it all off, one last layer of padding goes over the stuffing. Now, this isn't for bulk, it's for refinement. It's a smoother material, like a thin foam or a cotton batting, that smooths out any lumps and bumps, perfects the final shape, and gets the whole thing ready for its skin. All right, our piece has a solid structure and it has its comfortable shape. Now for the grand finale, the part everyone sees. It's time to apply that beautiful outer fabric that really brings it to life. Success at this stage is all about the cut. You have your basic general cutting for the big flat pieces. But the real skill, the real artistry, comes from shape-specific cutting. This is where you have to cut the fabric to fit perfectly around every single curve and corner. It's what separates a professional job from an amateur one. And one of the key tricks to get that perfect fit around curves is using pleats. These are just neat, deliberate folds in the fabric. Sometimes they're just for decoration to add a bit of style, but a lot of the time they're super functional, helping the fabric wrap around a curve smoothly without any awkward bunching. And there you have it. We've gone all the way from a few pieces of wood to a fully formed piece of furniture. So let's just step back for a second and look at the big picture here. Remember those 3 words from the beginning? Comfort, strength, and neatness? Now you can see how every single step we took played a role. The comfort comes from that system of webbing, stuffing, and padding. The strength, that's all about the solid frame and that super tight webbing. And the neatness, that beautiful finished look, that comes from precise cutting and skillful details like pleats. It all works together. So the next time you sit down on a sofa, you'll know about the hidden world of craft and care that's literally supporting you. You've seen how it all comes together. So I guess the only question left is, what will you create? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.